every year a good year to talk about the rising stars. Of course, all the action on our air on TNT as we get a chance to look at the list for the U.S. And we've got stars aplenty, including a guy, and I heard it mentioned before on Crunch Time, I think Jared had mentioned it. Look, De'Aaron Fox got to be as improved as anybody in the league. A lot of guys that fit that category. We'll get into that in a second. Here are the others on the list. How about 19 years of age? Jaren Jackson Jr., John Collins himself, who's improved. Lonzo Ball, talked about a lot. And maybe Jarrett Allen, not enough for what he's done to improve his game under Kenny Atkinson. I want to start with Fox because, Sekou, we knew about the speed. We knew about the mind and the makeup, which was there, and the work ethic. And it kind of told you the game would get better. What has impressed you most here in year two from Fox?
I think the leadership, has been something that's really stood out about Fox. And also the attentiveness on defense. I wasn't sure he would become the defensive-minded player that he is so early in his career. When you hit a guy who can do all the things he can physically, to focus on the defensive end, in addition to pushing the pace, leading this Kings team during what's really been a revival season for them, Casey. To have those as your principals as a young player is really impressive. We don't talk about De'Aaron Fox enough, if you ask me, given the jump in his play that we've seen and what I think is an unlimited potential in terms of what he can become.
Coach, here in Atlanta, they talk about Trae Young a lot, for obvious reasons, and including the choice that they made versus where they were with Doncic. Hasn't been perfect, but I know Lloyd Pierce and that staff happy with the shot selection. Again, not exactly perfect yet, but what have you seen improvement-wise? What do you like about Trae Young so far?
I like him a little bit to Baker Mayfield, the quarterback with the Cleveland Browns, because a chip on their shoulder coming in, size-wise, not what the norm is in their positions, but they come in and they command the respect of their teammates. 27 points a game in college for Trae Young. He's over 16 points a game now, not shooting the ball as well with range as he did, but that'll get better as he goes on and figures out the defenders. What I like is I didn't understand his ability to see the entire floor and make plays that I've seen him make to help his teammates become better and help win games. I'm impressed with this young man.
Something big on Trae for those who have not watched him, how often he drives and how efficiently in today's day and age. The only two who have driven more per game so far this season to the basket, Harden, DeRozan. And then it's Trae Young in that 3 spot. Thank you to all the analytics from David Griffin. All right, let's get to the world side. I stole that one. We give you this. The lineup on the world end of things, as we look at their roster, you see Ben Simmons. He clearly could end up in the All-Star game as well. So could Doncic, DeAndre Ayton, who has not been talked about a lot, maybe because of Luka. Lauri Markkanen, his continued success. Bogey out on the end as well. And this group, including Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the Clippers, OG up in Toronto, and how about Cedi Osman?
That's a good group.
How about Cedi Osman? Because, look, Coach, and you get to see him a lot, obviously. This was a guy who, I think it should say something how much LeBron seemed to really enjoy playing with him and want him out on the floor. Not a lot of people even knew who he was before that, but he's taken now with these minutes his game to another level this year.
The players on the team love him. He's a fun guy. He's a keep it loose guy, but he's a guy who has a great work ethic, guy who plays hard. In fact, he played almost a little bit too hard and out of control early on, knowing that he was coming in replacing the small forward position, who was LeBron James. But since the beginning of the season, he's settled back down. He's taken his shot with more confidence. Early on, it was just 3-ball after 3-ball, and he was rushing it to get it out of his hands. Now he's more aggressive, taking it to the basket, putting it on the floor. He's a good defender. And I mentioned he's fearless. I mean, he's very, very aggressive at both ends of the floor. You got to like the improvement in Osman.
Well, I won't take this aggressively. I'm improving at it, but Rodion's Karooks.
That's
do
right.
That, see, that was good, right? You look at all of the different guys that Kenny uses and how many they can trust, and that culture, which you know, Coach, as well as anybody, presents that. But what are people who are not paying attention to this talent in Brooklyn missing so far about what you're seeing?
They're missing one of the steals of the 2018 draft is what they're missing. This is a guy whose versatility, and we don't have utility players in this league, Coach, the way we used to, where that was a valued skill. Not everybody has to be a shooter. The number one priority is finding guys who can stretch the floor and knock down shots. This is a guy who has a skill set, really, that is a throwback. A guy who can run the floor, find, spaces on offense and get shots, get buckets without you ever running a play for him. He's an athletic, wing defender, which is at a premium always in this league. And when you factor in on a team like Brooklyn, where they have so many different players really at his same position, the fact that you can play him up and really play him as a 4 sometimes in a smaller lineup, to me, bodes well for Karooks, because as this Brooklyn core grows, you're going to need somebody who can fill in the gaps. And this is one of those guys who I think is going to be a perfect fit.
Sounds to me like you were describing John Havlicek. Is that going too far back?
I don't know, but I just think you got to give Sean Marks and his staff a ton of credit for identifying a guy who fits perfectly into what they're doing and then accelerating his process and getting him in the mix right away.
Another smart player, and on that side, you talk about Doncic and Osman, all of these guys, great basketball IQ.